Hello, it is now what day is it? 8? Day 8 post-op. So in general, I'm starting to feel much more normal. I don't generally have a whole lot of pain and I feel very mobile. Like I feel like I could probably go out and just do all of the normal like lifting and walking around and like arm mobility, range of motion things that I would ordinarily do. So I think that this is probably a dangerous stage because I probably shouldn't be doing those things, but feel like I can. At this point, most of my days consist of just trying to remind myself to take it easy and to not do too many things with my arms, as well as just playing Animal Crossing and admiring myself in the mirror. I do have some discomfort, even pain, at the edge of my scar on my right side, like where the stitches are. The stitches seem like kind of pokey and like it feels like it's irritating the skin on either side of the scar, so I'm not really sure how normal that is, if they're just like threaded a weird way or if I'm just like shaped weird like over there or something. But it's something where I like, if I take off the vest, I definitely notice it just like moving around. So I'm really hoping that I didn't like accidentally reach too far with my right side, which is my dominant side, or something like that. To where I like opened it or something. I'm sure it would hurt much more if I actually like ripped it open, but I'm just hoping that I didn't damage anything such that it won't heal as well or as quickly. Hey guys, it is now day 9 post-op, and I am feeling good, but I think today I realized that I'm not feeling as good as I normally do in my day-to-day life, which I guess shouldn't be shocking considering, you know, the whole surgery recovery thing. Today I went to the botanical garden and like walked around and just saw all the plants, and it was really low-key and really nice out, and it was like kind of overcast so it wasn't too hot, and I ended up just walking around for about, I think it was about 2 or 3 miles, which is not really all that much, especially compared to my activity level in my day-to-day life. But what I think I realized is that that was the first time I had been outside and like walked any substantial distance, like anything more than like half a mile, for this entire recovery time. I think in my ordinary life, if I was cooped up inside and like literally hadn't set foot outside like I have been the past week and a half, and had also not really been working out or exercising or walking around or going for runs or that sort of thing, I think I would be going absolutely insane. Like I would feel physically like I needed to go outside and move around and like walk or run or hike or whatever it may be. I think what I hadn't realized until today was that I have not felt that need. I have not felt like cooped up. I have felt perfectly content to just be inside in bed, not really moving around that much. And I have not felt at all like I've needed to go outside or needed to walk around or go for walks in order to like feel functional. So I think that is a very interesting and telling sign about the fact that I am still physically recovering, that like I don't feel like I have excess energy that I can just go like use by like walking around and stuff. So that was my big revelation for the day. As a side note, the botanical garden was absolutely beautiful. The flowers were gorgeous, there were so many interesting plants, the landscaping was perfect, and they just did like a really good job with it, and I love plants and being in nature, and the botanical garden was just lovely, absolutely lovely. It is now day 10 post-op, and I'm feeling great, looking great, and really excited for my next post-op doctor's appointment in a couple days here to get to hear what the doctor has to say and how my daily routines and movement and wound care restrictions are going to change. I think I've noticed but some pain, again, around the ends of the incisions, like under my armpits. But I think what I've realized is that I don't have a super great sense of where exactly things are by feeling in those areas, probably because like, I don't know, the skin is like in a different spot than it used to be, blah blah blah, that sort of thing. And so what I think it is actually that where the vest, the binder, is kind of like wrapping around like the back, kind of toward the top of my like torso and the back, like around my armpit. On either side, the binder has kind of like cut into it a little bit, which is a problem that I had the first couple days that the PA fixed when I went to the doctor's office. But what I've realized is that there's still some friction there, and I think that that is actually the pain that I've been feeling mostly from my sides when I move around. And so, in some sense, I think that's a little bit comforting to know that it's not actually coming from the incisions, because I was a little bit worried for a while there that I was really overdoing it and pushing myself too hard, or like just not being careful with myself, because I did feel pain when I was moving. But thankfully, I think that that's not from the actual wounds or incisions. I think it is from just the binder and the friction that has caused, like around my armpit area. My scars are very dark and pretty thick. I've been looking at a lot of like 10-day post-op pictures online, and I definitely do not look as healed up or as clean cut as a lot of people. So that's not necessarily a cause for concern, but it is a little bit disappointing. I'm curious to hear what my doctor has to say about it, and really, really curious to see how I'm going to heal up over the course of the next year or so. So I am not white, well, I mean, I'm half white, but I am also half Asian, and so in terms of skin, like texture and complexion and all of that, I am not, I guess, what you usually see when you're looking at pictures. I feel like I see a lot of pictures of white people for like surgical stuff and post-op pictures and stuff, and so there aren't really as many photos out there of people who are Asian, much less people who are mixed race. And so there is kind of that factor in the back of my mind, like, oh, I know like my coloring is different, like I know my nipple color is supposed to be different than a lot of the pictures I'm seeing. Like it's never been like that pale baby, like could get burned red like a lobster in the sun kind of like color. But it's also not like, I just haven't seen a lot of skin types like mine, especially reflected in like post-op surgery photos. So I'm definitely thinking about that a lot. That was one of the big concerns with me with having scars, because I do scar a little bit darker because I do get very, very dark, and I tan really, really dark in the sun, and that definitely comes out with scarring. Like I got a scratch over a year ago on my upper shoulder, and it was like, it wasn't really a deep cut or anything, it was just a scratch, and you can still see like a very dark scar line there. Which will probably go away in a couple years. Like in general, it's taken about 5 years for scars to go away for me. So I guess they're technically not scars. Like there's no scar tissue, it's just discolored for a very, very long time. So those are definitely thoughts that I'm having as I'm like looking at my very large dark scars, as I'm looking at like the very black like nipples, and knowing that it's not going to like chip away, like the black stuff isn't going to chip away and fade until like, you know, the like lip colored or the nipple colored that I see in a lot of photos. That's probably gonna still be darker, just like kind of wondering what that all is going to look like. That was all very, very rambly, and I am not really sure if that had a point or if it was going anywhere. Aside from all that, I have not been sleeping a ridiculous amount. I've been sleeping a very ordinary amount, only at night. I haven't been napping during the day. I haven't felt an abundance of energy to go out and do things like I talked about yesterday, but I have felt like, you know, good enough that like I'm not feeling like I need to be like bedridden forever. It's just not like, you know, a whole lot of energy where I'm like, oh, I want to like go run a 5K today, which is what a lot of my days would ordinarily be like if I was cooped up and healthy. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please consider liking and subscribing for more trans-related content. All right, until next time.